Welcome to Beacon Space. Today, I'm Xavier Stordes on board the BBTV Independent, which I'm using to return to Tella Station to pick up my co-host Calbrick for the first adventure in months.
Yes, I can't wait for your arrival. The judge has ruled that I am free to explore the sector and leave the station, and it's going to be great to get out there again.
That's almost as exciting news as our stories today, including a return from Star reporter Chaz Gusto Prime. His time with family was well spent, and today we get a stunning new report.
Chaz might be back, and his reporting is always great, but I've got a continuation of the thrilling dramatic reenaction of a Tahora 5 vessel engaged in combat with an ancient defensive structure.
The Alchemika Syndicate's promotional department has submitted a new poster for display across the sector. We bring you the poem and we'll discuss further what this might mean in the wider sector context.
Being on TTGI station has given me time to work with on-site reporters to gather feedback regarding the extensive clean-up efforts the TTGI has taken on Tellus since the impact of the Stravocaro comet. We'll hear from several factions regarding the cleanup effort and the steps they've taken to assist.
It truly is a sector-wide effort to establish Tellus as the premier planet in the sector. After all of that fantastic reporting, we'll come to a news section for the daily news and economics recap brought to you by my intrepid team of reporters. This week we'll be looking at different space trucking corporations and their recent expansion efforts across the sector, including an impact on both mine and Calbreck's investment portfolios.
Indeed, but after economics, we'll cover two of our recent additions to the sector-wide Encyclopedia of Knowledge, including an official census list for all known sapient species in the sector. It has been started and maintained by our very own Kat Mooslick.
And we'll wrap up discussions on the sector-wide encyclopedia with a review of the city of Salamandra on Karkaduk and the Salamandra Corporation that owns most of the city.
And our final top story for tonight, the Foundation for the Promotion of Creative Arts has announced a new drive promoting new and upcoming young creators to establish their own intellectual property brands and then negotiate production licenses through the mechanism of the Foundation. Find out what the director of the Foundation had to say about this later in the broadcast.
We'll bring you all of this news and more right after this short message from our sponsor. Come join DJ Pretty Sparks for her newest performance at the Big Ass main stadium. Tickets will sell out. Buy yours today. Special guests for performances have yet to be announced. Tune in later to see who might be performing alongside DJ Pretty Sparks in her entire opening set from her newest album, which is yet to be named. DJ Pretty Sparks throws the biggest rave Kartakuk has ever seen. It'll be a performance you don't want to miss. You, all your friends, surrounded by everyone in Kartakuk, enjoying the stadium at the Vigaz main stadium. It'll be an event you don't want to miss. Be sure to buy your tickets today. VIP passes available for an extra 400 howl. Get to meet DJ Pretty Sparks and support her amazing work. You won't want to miss this upcoming performance from DJ Pretty Sparks. Tickets are available now from the Visgaz Cultural Association website in partnership with the Servine Culture Collective. DJ Pretty Sparks presents her biggest rave yet. Will you be there? I hope to see you there. We thank DJ Pretty Sparks and her upcoming rave on Kartakuk for sponsoring this episode of Beacon Broadcast tonight. And I'm your host, Xavier Stordes, as mentioned previously, and my co-host, Lupus Kalbrick. Welcome to Unrestricted Lorefare, and I hope you've just enjoyed our cold intro into our once-a-month lore show, where we bring you all the different news and updates of what's happened in fiction from the faction turn over the past month. You want to introduce yourself, Kalbrick?
Yep, as stated, I'm Anchor Lupus Calbrecht, and I am here to help Glorious anchor Xavier in presenting the news from across the sector tonight.
If you're unfamiliar with the world of Beacon Space, it's a sci-fi setting set in the far future after a sector-wide event shut down transportation networks called the Glitch. We're working to see how the sector reestablishes connections with the larger map that exists. Um, the Beacon Space sector gets its name from an event that happened eons ago in which a pulse of light or energy flashed, causing a large interest in the area, and species have been flocking to this region of space ever since. We explore all kinds of different sci-fi themes and run a monthly faction turn show based off the Stars Without Numbers faction turn that happens once a month, and then we run this lore stream as well to sort of recap the fictional elements of that and put it all together for you. If you're interested in joining a faction, putting together content that you'll be able to see later in this stream, then you can join the Discord with the exclamation mark Discord in Twitch chat, or you can also um, uh, find it under the video description if you're watching the VOD on YouTube afterwards.
Yep, and Beacon Space is held up by the wonderful people who produce content for it, and we are very excited to present. Thank you to everybody who has made submissions this month. The first thing that we have from our factions for this month is from expert Gene Wright's Children of the Vein.
Let's take a listen to their report from Chaz Gusto Prime right now.
This report has been made possible by the New Eden Gene Bank. Be a better you. Visit your local branch for a consultation.
Hello, Beacon Space. This is your favorite reporter, Chaz Gusto Prime, here with the latest from around the sector. In the news this cycle, we have a planetary takeover, a new clinic opening, and more information on the revitalization of Tellus. First, I'd like to congratulate BBTV anchor Xavier Stortis for their selection as host of BBTV's oldest and most beloved game show, Vagary. His debut will be this weekend. It should be an exciting show. From my peek behind the scenes, Stortis is a natural, and I believe he will make the late Adam Hefe Febe Gualagi proud. Next up, we have an update on the planet AQ. From our trusted sources there on the planet, strange new insectoid stout towers have been spotted growing in the strategic neuro locations located across the planet. I also found out that with great effort, the vein of silent spores was heavily involved in this operation. We attempted to dive deeper and uncover this clan's specializations, but they aren't called the silent spores for nothing. We'll continue our investigations and report back next cycle, eager listeners, with any future updates. The Vein of Paradise announced the grand opening of the new enterprise on Icaros this cycle, with the support of the local Icarosi investors and the financial backing of the New Eden Gene Bank. Icaros Speed, a biomodification clinic specialized in athletic enhancements. Icaros Speed debuted with a charity race in this week in which bio-enhanced local student athletes were pitted up against unmodified racers, with the enhanced athletes winning by a significant margin. However, the shock of the event to the local onlookers did not come from the source of the race, but from the results of the race, that is, but from the stillness of the enhanced racers, several of whom briefly froze mid-event, turning and watching their fellow racers struggle to keep up. One of the runners later suggested, for a culture of people always on the move, an athlete seemingly frozen in time in the middle of an event is an incredible and often unsettling phenomenon. When asked for comment on the rumors of brewing conflict between the Vein of Paradise and the Vein of Glorious Delights, each backers of the Icaros Speed and recently debuted MOSFET, respectively, celebrating Mogul Howling Star, had this to say, quote, I welcome all challengers, but everyone knows that you can only find your best fit on Moss. End quote. Strong fighting words from their star, gladiator, and media mogul. In the aftermath of TTGI's polar melting project and the ensuing Strovacaro cleanup efforts, Tellus has become rich not with just life, but resources. The melting of the polar caps from the inciting Strovacaro impact, which heated the globe, has now revealed massive subterranean systems rich in prehistoric organic matter that was frozen and preserved with temperatures falling. With as well as other various mineral resources. TTGI ecologist development experts have found that prehistoric matter of the long-lost Hellas biosphere may be the key to completing the long endeavor of completing the terraforming initiative, restoring the world to its idyllic state. Legions of veins as experts have begun descending on the planet in biological gold rush to mine the polar biomatter for new ranges of development in medicine, biotechnology, engineering, and bioweapons engineering, including early stages of experimentation with restoring long-extinct native Tellus species. The greatest of these endeavors is the development of the newly announced Telasi Park, a zoo for extinct native species set to open in the coming cycles. According to the Joyous Harmony, an often controversial figure and tycoon in the bioengineering industry, they, quote, have spared no expense in the Telasi Research Park project, and they hope to have the park will open soon to greet guests and welcome all. For our last report, we saw a momentous influx of sector-wide support with the most recent TTGI effort, with an extraordinarily large sum of money and resources invested into the Strovacaro impact cleanup. The project received approximately 3 times the requested support following the TTGI members, the Aguamala Syndicate, the Ascent, the Children of the Vein, the Concord of Mutual Disdain, the Larkspur Combine, and Tahorai Vai. More on the story with the Stordits and Calbricht later in the hour. And that concludes our sector report this cycle. We have new clinics, weird science, rising water, and massive efforts of public goodwill that brought the sector together for a bright and hopeful moment. Will that spirit of cooperation hold through to the next cycle? Tune in next time and find out. This has been Chaz Gusto Prime, blipping out.
Thank you, Chaz, for your reporting. As always, it is incredible to see the work you've been doing, and we will be covering more about TTGI efforts later in this broadcast.
Indeed.
Have you happened to watch an episode of Vagary, Lupus? It's been quite an interesting experience getting used to hosting that game show, and I am looking forward to my debut this weekend.
I watched the old host, and I don't know how anybody could replace the wonderful ministrations of that individual. However, I will sit in anticipation and see if you can live up to their good name.
We will see if I can step into the shoes. They are quite big to fill. With that, we have a new and second sponsorship break we need to take, so give us just one moment. The crowd is undulating with glee as I speak. Rocco Burdu is bringing their classic flair and energy. It is electric here. The crowd are being whipped up into a frenzy. Honestly, I'm worried about some of the people near the front. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Rocco and Burdu have split, and they're having a dance battle right on stage. I can't believe it! I was here! I was here! It sounds like there's been quite an event going on at the up-and-coming preparations for the rave on Kartakook that are being sponsored by DJ Pretty Sparks this month.
I cannot believe that Rogel's there. How
is-
am I missing this?
I don't know. Zimina and Charles are having the best experience ever, and we're stuck here delivering the news. Oh well.
Well, I'll just go to her next event.
Isn't she coming to tell us sometime soon? In fact, planning to play on station? We'll just have to return, of course, in time.
Yeah, I hope so.
Regardless, let's move on with the next news in the sector before we just disappoint everyone with our disappointment in not being able to be at the show.
Fear of missing out. It is an insidious insidious feeling.
Fair enough. But I believe you have a report from the Tahora Y to raise our spirits with.
I do, to bring some excitement back into the broadcast and raise the energy here. I have the next installment in the exciting to horrify forays out at the edges of the sector. And I will report that to you now. B mission crew held their ship back, undertaking a robust course of scans of the station ahead of them. The hedgehog-like station appeared innocent, but on whatever approach the crew took, the fortress awoke more vicious than the last. Each time, a new engagement range, a new hidden weaponry, rockets, chaff, radio blasts, kinetic shot, and more, all fired upon the exploratory vessel. The station bristled with defenses. After several dozen unsuccessful attempts, the crew reset their safe orbit and deliberated their options and alternatives. A relatively short installment of our ongoing narrative around the Tahorify exploration. However, an important one. Will they be able to find a safe path to the fortress? Will we ever discover what is inside the ruin? Keep watching the lore streams to find out.
I'm quite interested in this story altogether. I can't wait to see if they succeed or fail. This narrative has me sitting on the edge of my seat. Or maybe it's just the inertial dampeners that are starting to fail. Regardless, I'm on the edge of my seat.
I hope that the inertial dampeners don't fail. Have you ever tried an FTL jump without them? I feel like my insides are a milkshake.
I have not, and I hope not to have such an experience. But we'll thank the Tahora Y for their up-and-coming update regarding their exploration.
Indeed. And next up, we have, as promoted at the start, we have a new poster, which some would call propaganda and some would call God's honest truth, from the Aguamala Syndicate.
That's correct. This poster brings to us a poem that I'll be reading for you now. Fins, wings, legs, or more, Aguamala hunts, takes to the skies, and while the prey is its own reward, the white whale's more than its own demise. Take to the blade, take to the knife, grab your victuals, grab your skeins, the hunt's afoot, violence is rife, we'll stitch our wounds and our trophies. For the tusks of ivory draw our envy, the appendages of void-hardened skin. We studied not its biology, except to let our weapons in. The white whale beckons and heralds us all. Awake, Aguamala! We answer the call. Quite interesting.
A superb artistic installment from the Aguamala Syndicate. I, for one, find the inspiration from earlier eras of art and development from the Syndicate most fascinating. As a student of history, I can see the developmental veins running through the poem here, especially when you consider the cultural beliefs around El Destino. I'm sure we will have a full analysis of this in our literary corner on Tuesdays.
Absolutely, and you'll be able to join Calbrook for that this Tuesday at 1500 Sector Standard Time, which also is just TELUS Standard Time because nowhere else has the same standard time as TELUS. With that, we thank Aguamala for this wonderful poster, and perhaps we'll be able to see this white whale more in upcoming lore streams. We'll have to find out.
I certainly hope so. I am fascinated to see where this artistic adventure continues. But coming up, we will now be covering the cleanup efforts that have been underway on Tellus for the last few months due to the impact of the Stravocaro comet. We are going to begin with a message from the Administrator Cardinal Olive Blanche.
The clean-up effort has been a fresh breeze of spring air, bringing renewed life to our humble garden. This endeavour has only further reinforced in our eyes the capacity for the TTGI to fertilise the ground for healthy change on our worlds. Under a united board, we can adapt any barren environment into a beautiful and thriving biosphere, even beyond the Earth of Tellus. We must all take wisdom from this example and strive to build a paradise for all on every world in need.
That's always inspiring to hear from Administrator Cardinal Blanche. And continuing on these reports regarding the cleanup of Tellus, we have reporting from our very own Cat Moveslick, which is our Tahora Y reporter, from where we are learning the following: that volunteers from Dyne have arrived on Tellus to assist in the cleanup efforts from the Stravocaro comet last month. Teams of crews labored on the planet's surface, clearing paths for traffic, establishing a secure route to the comet's landing site. Whaling ships utilized their nets, hooks, and harpoons to clear debris and transport large fragments of the comet to local industrial processing centers. One cyborg laborer remarked the following:
We know what it's like for something like this to happen to one's planet, and we hope we can look out for each other to make the most of these disasters, such as our way.
The efforts from the people of Sector West coincided with a temporary hiatus on travel duties and security fees exercised by the Fayi affiliated ships above the planet. Some commentators, including our own at BBTV, suspect this lull in operations led to unscheduled maintenance and testing of emergency systems over the course of the month.
Indeed, it's been an interesting security development that will be analysed for quite some time. And up next, we have a comment from Lita Clarkson, who caught up with Ascent specialists on Tellus Station and asked them for their comment. Let's catch their report now.
Spyridos Velatos of the Ascent Messenger Guild has declared success on their previous efforts to step up logistic support in the wake of the disruption caused by the impact of the comet Stravocaro. In a recent release, Velatos was reported as saying, "We are, of course, using the data gained as an update to our models of both shatter potentiations and their impacts on planetary traffic. But the immediate disruptions to port and terraforming operations are now over. This is primarily because of the efforts of the first responder crews, of course. But the Messenger Guild is happy to have provided the logistic support they needed. Comet impact or no, Ascent delivers."
Ascent always delivers, as we rely on them for secure communications within the BBTV network. Up next, our reporters caught up with the Chief Aquatic Impact Inspector, Toggle Winston Letterby, as he was stopped for an interview and said the following:
Yes, we are proud to be participating in the cleanup with the other industrious members of the sector community and believe that thanks to this cooperation things will proceed smoothly for the foreseeable future.
However, we could reach them for no further comment as they continued their way into the Ivory Tower and Country Club bar.
It is quite the exclusive club. It's not surprising to me that our reporters could not get in. Members of several major Aguamalan lodges have banded together to provide monetary assistance to the recent cleanup efforts. This is what they have to say on the situation around the Stravocaro comet.
Though the sector is made of many different groups, through projects such as the cleanup of Tellus, we are given an opportunity to show the great achievements that can be accomplished when we work together.
We thank the lodges of Aguamala for their support in the cleanup of the comet Stravocaro. We also have many reportings indicating that, having made themselves experts in the handling of exotic materials, prospectors of the Larkspur Combine have delved into some of the harshest environs of the impact site, seeking bleed-influenced materials to scavenge and sell. Unfortunately, all of the prospectors were so busy mining they were unable to provide comment, but we did capture quite a lot of them traveling quite consistently on many of the vessels going back and forth.
Indeed, we will be seeing the impact of that influx of bleed material in future days, I am sure. But speaking of events around Tellus, there was, as you will recall, and as was mentioned, a security incident in the space over Tellus, alarms going off. I have a report here from Hal Gilman, a Beacon Times senior correspondent to the Kikorangi Te Tahorafai, and this is the article news given in print, in which I will relay to you. It says, in a second incident mirroring another earlier this year, the Tahorafai fleet, known as the Fluguafli Kikla, caused alarm in the skies over Tellus by activating their weapon systems unexpectedly. Before a response could be mounted by the Tellus Civil Authority, the weapons were powered down and the Tahorafai issued this statement. This has been a test of the emergency assault system. If this had been a real emergency, we wouldn't be having this conversation. A Tukiha, which is foreigner or outsider in Dainian Pidgin, which I shall have to brush up on. Additional sources indicate a merchant ship from Karakuk assisting in the Stravakaro cleanup was in direct sight of the Phi fleet during the surprise disturbance. The civilians experienced severe distress and discomfort as they faced the guns. Captain Voltar Tileben had this to say after the events. Quote, well, it was all very uncomfortable in the moment, you see, and poor Zinal Tenboten almost fainted thinking the jailers had done found us. Don't know why she'd think that given we're round Tellus, not Kardakuk. Now I suppose them jailers could be anywhere they wanted, given the time since... the alert? Yeah, well, yes, so long as there's nothing to worry about, I suppose there's no harm done. End of quote. Concord of Mutual Disdain officials on the TTGI are rumored to be in talks with the Fluguafli Klika. With the fleet's weapon malfunction 2 months ago, local officials, diplomats, and press are keeping close eyes on the Phi. Who knows what might happen during the next surprise drill? Again, this comes from reporter Hal Gilman, the Beacon Times senior Kikorangi Te Tahorafai correspondent.
Quite a scary incident. Did the TTGI station impact any elevated security measures during this event? Or was it too brief?
I was locked down in my studio apartment at the time, and I, of course, am entirely unaware of Tellus politics. I have no personal involvement, I have not lobbied, and I have no personal connection to any such councillors, senators, or otherwise political officials. Anybody who says so is being slanderous.
Quite. It would be, of course, undue of us to impact and influence the politics across the sector. Merely, we should be reporting on it.
We are entirely politically neutral, and once again, a thanks to our proud sponsor, the New Eden Gene Bank. Be a better you.
We'll be taking a short break from another one of our sponsors to check out the new merchandise available by the DJ Pretty Sparks. DJ Pretty Sparks, in coordination with the Servine Culture Collective, brings you merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and posters, along with so much more. Shipping across the sector on the Amicable Accord Transit and Trades Trucker Union ships, promising 1 week delivery anywhere in the sector. Order today. Saves the limit to the rave on Kartakuk. Very nice, very nice. It'll be great to see their merchandise available on Karkaduk.
Indeed, I am on the waiting list and I have been for several months.
Very exciting. And now we could take a new stab at our newest bit, the economics intro, right after this message. Maybe. Or not. Never mind, we'll just get started straight into it. It looks like the economics bit intro is not playing correctly. That's alright. We'll just move right into my newest report, where we cover the recent expansion of 3 competitors in the space trucker industry, the Bestern Systems, the Marja and Daughters, and the Saxofredionics corporations. They have all been spotted testing new technology across the sector, and Saxofredionics is rumored to have their newest ship undergoing stress testing in the 1209 Minta system in the space recently claimed on sector-wide charts by the Ogumala Syndicate. Seems like dangerous territory for a premier bulk shipping service to be testing their newest available ships in, But who am I to disagree with this approach? Shares are trading 10% higher at the report of this newest ship testing, including rumors of weapons fire detected around the vessel's paths. Lupus, what are the most recent rumors on the Bestrin systems?
Bestrin Systems completed a recent expansion onto the newly reconnected planet of Langan in the 0408 Kuafu system. Their rapid expansion into the Kiko Orangi Ote Tahora Phi is unprecedented for any major space trucking union. However, this will ease congestion concerns from newer explorers. Of course, the risk of asset loss due to piracy is unspoken. The sizable investment into ground-based stations does have some investors nervous that the company will be unable to pay its upcoming debts. Shares are currently holding steady, which is great for many individual investment portfolios or some of the safer retirement funds.
And finally today, we come to Marja and Dotiers. With Marja's interest in bleed-infused materials, their ships have been on the front lines of surveying asteroids and comets in reconnected sectors. And a surprising discovery, all of the initial explorations they've undertaken have been successful thus far. The best I've been able to gather through my reporters is that and informants, as it may be, is that several lenses were recently signed onto the payroll of Marja and Dotiers. Is this their secret for so many successful infusion discoveries? Investors are watching to see if these ships can now successfully transport the material back to processing operations, but if they can do so safely, you may want to be on the lookout for new bleed-infused products available on the market.
Well, luckily, my personal investment advisors have made the right calls, and I've seen the value of my personal portfolio increase 3 times over the past 4 years of expansion into the space trucking industry. What about you, Xavier?
You must have much better investors than me. I'm down nearly 40% in the past year alone. Who are you investing with? I think I may need to switch.
I am investing with it's not important who I'm investing with.
We'll continue this conversation offline. I think I may need to take your advice. But with that, we come to another sponsorship from DJ Pretty Sparks. The Garbulans have arrived, but they're early. DJ Pretty Sparks isn't even on yet. Oh, you mean they're here to excite the crowd before she arrives? Odd choice, but it's time to listen to their newest hit.
Quiero jugar, venme una horas más. Estoy impaciente, quiero comerte.
That is a very fantastic song from the Gobulins that has come forth today.
Indeed, Pretty Sparks always been multicultural and supporting of species across the sector, different cultures, different music. I do love Pretty Sparks.
And it is quite exciting to see a Gobulin making it successful on the international stage, given their only recent reintroduction into the sector at large. We've seen several of them in our reporting, but they are quite a unique species.
Yes, social stigma does still abound regarding some of their less favorable habits when it comes to personal hygiene.
Speaking, however, of the Gobulins, that actually is a great segue into our newest reports on the people of the sector as we transition into this month's Wiki review. So this People of the Sector page on our wiki that we're showing now is a current list, as far as we're aware, of all of the sapient species within the beacon space sector.
Mm-hmm.
It's been put together by a community member as such, and I'll be sharing the link in Twitch chat, and it'll be available underneath the stream if you'd like to look at this page yourself.
Yep, thanks to our very own Foxy Owl for establishing this. And it was a stroke of genius, really, because there has been lots of ideas for sapient species. Beacon space as a setting is very multicultural and accepting. There's no real discrimination based on which species you are. But the barrier to entry of making a wiki page and doing a full detailed deep dive on the history of a species and everything was keeping some of the cool ideas that people have in the Google Docs and in the channels on the server. So having a quick, easy reference where you only need a short description and a general idea of who the species are was very clever. And I thank you to Foxy Owl for setting up this page.
Yeah, and of course, if once you add a species stub, as it may be, a small description, you can always turn it into a further article, as several of the ones from the Concord and Mutual Disdain, the Queddle, and the Tarret, for example, have full pages behind them. So you can always come back in and expand these species out with more detail
Yeah,
in the future.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So you can put the little stub on, and then the pressure to have a big page and have it all finished and perfect before it goes up is gone. But then once you have your stub of a short description of the species, yeah, as you say, later on can go in and expand it and do some awesome work. So thank you to everybody who has submitted to this list. I know that I have definitely been referencing it a lot to introduce characters to the world when we've been playing the Free Agents RPG. So yeah, thank you to everybody who's contributed.
Absolutely, and it's great to see contributions like this that make both running the game of free agents easier as well as more diverse in its membership. It's also useful for putting together these lore bits if you have a character you'd like to introduce and want to pick a different species for us to give some more detail about when we're presenting. That would be great. It'd be a simple, easy way to get these short descriptions out, so more people are aware of all the different species that exist. So again, thank you to Foxy Owl for putting this page together, and then we'll move right along to the second contribution this month from the Wiki. That other contribution comes from the Concord of Mutual Disdain with the planet Karkaduk's expansion with a new city, Salamandra.
Yes.
I'm totally butchering that pronunciation. I apologize.
Salamandra, I think.
That sounds good to me.
Kaudakuk as a planet has tens of millions of inhabitants, which is a lot of people, but when you put it into the context of cities and encampments, becomes less so. They've had 2 major cities on their page for a while, and they've fleshed it out with the final of the 3 major cities on Kaudakuk. The other ones being, of course, Vizgaz, the living jellyfish city, the Shet Block, the cell block city, based largely in what used to be the prison for their people. And then finally, rounding it out, we have Salamandra, which is very interesting because it is the highest in elevation on their underwater world. And the entire city is dedicated towards the entertainment industry, specifically with the aesthetic of a theme park, which, if you think about somewhere, like Las Vegas or, Florida with Disneyland and Universal Studios, that kind of area, this is a similar thing. It's a whole city that's dedicated to fun and excitement. And has that as the basis of its economy. And they have made up some really cool attractions and rides and shows, and I would love to go and visit Salamandra personally and go ride all the rides.
Yeah, it's great to see all these different rides on this list that you're able to take a look at. There's the Tully Monster, or the Tully Monstrum Carousel, for the younglings of all ages, and cavern crawls along with taxi services. It's quite fun and quite very cool. If you're interested in reading more about this page, I'll post the link into the Twitch chat, and again, it'll be available underneath the YouTube video if you're watching the VOD later.
Yeah, it's very, very good work. Brought to you by our own Daddy Yum Yum, a very prolific community member who has written a lot of awesome lore, member of the Concord of Mutual Disdain, and they've all worked together to bring this to us. And yeah, it's fantastic stuff. Really fleshes out the world. I love it.
Absolutely. With that, I think that wraps up our wiki review segment. So thanks to everyone who suggested wiki articles for us to review. And we've got, it seems like, one more advertisement from DJ Pretty Sparks regarding a new song rumor. It looks like Charles is reporting this one.
Indeed. Rumors are continuing to be the hot topic following the shock leak of Pretty Sparks' producer's back catalogue. One of the leaked files, titled Enchantment, would be a radical shift in genre and tone for Pretty Sparks, being only 60 beats per minute. Fans here on the ground are cautiously optimistic that Enchantment will be released later at this event, and I must say, I am personally among the hopeful.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, that reporter sounds handsome and charming.
I believe Charles is quite an amazing reporter, and I think we've actually have a transmission of theirs that is taking some time to process. It was sent through some non-ascended transmission vessels, and we've received the data in different jumbles and pieces, and so we're still trying to piece together the report. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that by next month's broadcast. But until then, we'll just have to rely on these quick transmissions across the sector that everyone can see.
Yeah, I hear that Charles has been doing some interesting work. Obviously, they are local representatives of BBTV Karakuk. They've been doing some interesting work looking into the Penumbra there, which obviously I have a vested interest in. And normally, this would be the time that I, Lupus Calbrecht, would present to you the Penumbra report, but instead we have a different segment to round out the last part of our broadcast here, and that is an announcement that I'm excited to make. We're going to be starting a new weekly community event, the Law Jam, inspired by things such as game jams, Ludum Dare, that kind of thing. Nani Remo, those kind of community creation events. So for each Law Jam, participants will gather in a voice chat on the server. It'll be set up for the event. We're going to have a set theme. It could be anything from food and drink to robots to TV shows to space stations. And then from the start of the event, we'll have a 45-minute countdown where everyone involved can sit down, write a new lore idea for the wiki, expand an existing one, put up a page, and then at the end of the 45 minutes, we'll have quickfire show and tell. Anybody who would like to present to the group what they have made, they are more than welcome to speak up and do so, but that's by no means required. And you also do not have to, actively participate and chat to be present and take part. You can just come along and hang out and enjoy the atmosphere. This is being instituted to help with that. It's really easy to get caught up in a busy life with everything that entails, and I know this has happened to me a lot personally. It's really easy to have that one law project on the back burner that you can never quite get around to doing, or a Google Drive filled with half-finished docs. The Law Jam is going to try and help that by having this set time every week where people are going to gather together, just dedicate an hour of your time to making some lore, hanging out with people, and then seeing what we have put up on the wiki. I'm pleased to announce that the very first Lore Jam is going to be, as you can see on our poster, tomorrow, Sunday the 21st at 7 p.m. UTC. That's 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. on the West Coast, and it will be Sunday at 7 p.m. UTC every week. The theme for tomorrow is snack food brands. You can make a single famous product, a suite of products, a retail chain, carbonated dairy comes to mind, or anything else that you would like to create. And I will be there. I know some others in the mod team will be there. I'm looking forward to seeing anyone else who would like to participate and seeing what we come up with by the end of it.
Yeah, we'll be taking advantage of Discord's new event features. It'll be set up after this stream, and that'll be a designation of which channel is available. So if you're interested in setting things up, then you'll be able to press the follow button and place interest in that, so you can get notified when the event goes live, and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, it should be really fun. I'm looking forward to, even if we have only a few people who can participate, that's a few new lore bits for the wiki. We can expand out the world, and I can blatantly steal all of your creative efforts to put into the Free Agents RPG, which is why it's taking the segment here.
Blatantly use. So you can
Yes.
get promotion of all of these cool things that are created. It was we actually had a session recently where the agents ended up at a food shop, and luckily we had some snacks available for the planet we were on to pull from, that I remember Kel being able to riff with, but having a variety of snack foods and all of these other things that are just known sector wide means that when we hit those situations, you can have all of the different fun things that are pulled in, and you can be like, oh, hey, that was that snack food that I created, or that was my brand of robot, and that'll be really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that sounds fantastic for the Lore Jam, and we hope to see everyone there tomorrow or any Sunday you're able to make it. With that, do you have anything else, Kelberg, for our show today?
I think that's everything for our faction submissions and the economy recap and the Lore Jam. We have had an awesome show today. Thank you to everybody who is watching. Thank you to everybody who has submitted something that we've shown on the Lore stream today. If you'd like to participate and submit something for us to show off on the Lore stream in future, as has been said, you can join the Discord, get involved, talk to a faction, and give us some cool stuff to show off. Always enjoy doing these.
And if you're don't want to have to bother a faction rep, or don't want to DM a moderator yourself on Discord, just send something to it. If you just want to place things in the Beacon Space content showcase or propaganda networks on their own, if stuff shows up there that we notice and we'd like to run on the show, or that we haven't seen submitted to the lore stream, we will reach out to get permission before we run it on stream, just to make sure you're fine with that. But you can just post things there, and we do watch that space for things to get shown up there to get promoted on stream. A great way for that might be wiki articles. In fact, is if you transition lore docs from internal things into wiki articles, you can share those in there, and we can make sure to run them during the wiki segment. With that, though, I think we're on to upcoming dates. Does that sound right to you, Kelbrick?
Sounds good to me.
Fantastic. Well, the upcoming dates that are of importance right now, I think, is the next faction turn, which is faction turn 15, is going to be taking place on December 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's 3 weeks from today. And we'll be going from that. Due dates for faction reps are already known and posted in the channel, so they can take a look at all of that. And if you need a reminder, it's available there. Next week, well, for the next 2 weeks, actually, we'll have some more premieres of the Free Agents episodes that Kelbrick mentioned earlier. Those are a Cypher System tabletop RPG which takes place in the gray area between the world of our factions and the all of that. Kelbrick could, I'm sure, give a better introduction than I just managed to push her through. But we'll have 2 more episodes premiering, and so you'll be able to take a look at those. If you want to play in a session, you can join in and ask about it on the Discord. Keep in mind, the sessions that go up are delayed from where we are in playing real sessions by a couple of weeks. and that's to give some time for post-production and to let people know if they don't want the episodes that they played in to go out and be published as videos, as we always make that an option for people who are playing. That way, if you're not comfortable with it being streamed or available as a VOD later, you're still able to enjoy the game of Free Agents.
Yes, anybody who wants to is more than welcome to message me or fill out the sign-up form and create a character within the world of Beacon Space and play in tabletop RPG. It's a good time. We have a good roster of players who always make it an enjoyable experience for me to run. And if you would like to join in and have a good time with us, you're more than welcome to.
Absolutely. So I think that about wraps up our stream today. We'll just be, of course, leaving you with some fun and outgoing music. Oh,
no,
I'm
hang
sorry,
on.
Kelbrook.
No, I just got just got a message on Pretty Sparks Rave has been cancelled.
What? What's happened? That can't
I
be
gotta
right.
go.
No way. Okay, we'll have to investigate this and bring you some more news, but we needed a true advertisement break for this one. So here's some music to enjoy, and we'll catch you next time.